right now is the worst real estate market for first-time home buyers. And I'm not even being dramatic. Fannie Mae's Home Purchase Sentiment Index shows the exact same thing. Younger consumers right now are growing increasingly pessimistic about home buying conditions, and rightfully so. Fannie Mae's survey basically asks potential home buyers if they think now is a good time to buy. They also talk to sellers and ask them, do they think now is a good time for them to sell their property? The unfortunate thing is that the results of this survey show both that people think it is an insanely bad time to buy, but that's not all. In the first 2 months of 2022, the competition has been so strong that now even home sellers feel like now might be a bad time to sell their home due to the fact that if they sell, they are not going to have a place to go because the buying side is so competitive. And this makes sense. When you already own a home and you can see what's going on, you aren't really super tempted to jump into the madness. News articles are sharing that around the nation, homebuyers are lining up outside of properties just to get a chance to see it for 10 minutes, and the number of sight unseen offers has also increased. Now, this is nothing new. We have been talking about how crazy the real estate market is really since 2020. But the issue 100% is still inventory. In 2021, inventory was at all-time lows. According to the latest report from the National Association of Realtors, 2022's inventory levels are already worse. So this is bad news for everyone who, since 2020, has been saying, you know what, it's a little too competitive. Maybe I'll wait till next year. Well, 2 years have gone by, and unfortunately, we're not really in a better situation when it comes to competition and available homes for sale. At the end of December of last year, inventory of unsold existing homes for sale fell to an all-time low of 860,000 homes. That's equivalent to only 1.6 months of supply. And if you've been following me for a while, you may know and remember that really in order to see a balanced market where we have, about an equal amount of homes available as buyers looking for homes, we need to get to around that 3.5-4 months of supply. So as you can see, with 1.6 months, we are very, very short on available homes for sale. This data brings us 16.5% down over just 1 year ago when it comes to inventory. Inventory continues to be a problem. But on top of that, there are demographic issues as well. For the past few years, millennials have hit prime home buying age. And now the typical millennial is about 32. So there is a whole nother generation of home buyers, potential home buyers hitting the market who have historically throughout COVID wanted to take advantage of the low interest rates, which is great. So you've got low inventory. You've got another generation added to the market. You've got a good amount of move up buyers, which means buyers who maybe are now working from home. They need a bigger space. So they're selling a home, but they need to buy a new one. You've got move down buyers or downsizing buyers who already own a home and then they're selling that and they have the cash because they're downsizing so they can make competitive offers. Plus, you still have all these people making cash offers as well as investors. HousingWire's analyst Logan Mohtashami said it best in my opinion. And when he was reflecting on the survey done by Fannie Mae, he said the survey was never about people saying that they never wanted to buy a home, just that the conditions for buying a home are terrible. To add to all the craziness that the real estate market is showing and first-time homebuyers are going through right now when it comes to the lack of inventory and crazy demand, we also have interest rates creeping up in 2022. And this is not necessarily a slow and steady creep. According to Freddie Mac, the average commitment rate or interest rate for a 30-year conventional fixed rate mortgage was 3.45% last month in January. This is up 3% from just December. So we're quickly seeing these interest rates go up. the average commitment rate across all of last year was 2.96%. Now, although we're looking at about 0.5%, and you may not think that's a huge deal, when you are financing a large purchase over 30 years, every 0.1% can make a huge difference on how much home you can afford. Because keep in mind, when lenders are looking at your total financial picture, they are giving you a pre-approval amount based off of how much mortgage payment can fit in your debt to income ratio. So obviously, one of the things that affects that total home payment is the amount that you're paying in interest. So the higher your interest rate, the higher that portion of your mortgage payment is going to be. Let's say that your debt to income ratio allocated $1,200 that could be used towards your mortgage payment. If you had a lower interest rate, that means that more of that payment could be going towards principal on a house, like the actual dollar price of the house. However, if your finances are still the same and interest rates go up, that means that in that $1,200 that your debt to income can allot for, you're now having to pay a higher interest rate. More of that money goes towards interest, so less of that $1,200 can go towards the principal or the actual house price. And that's where this can get tricky, because just since last year, we've seen almost 0.5% increase. So as a first-time homebuyer, you may be seeing that your money isn't going to go as far as you thought it was when you first were getting pre-approved. I'm not going to lie. It's an awful, awful market for first-time homebuyers, especially. I mean, it's an awful market for all buyers right now. It's very, very tough. I don't like having to navigate it either as a real estate agent. I don't. What can you do? There's a few things. One, you can wait it out. And unfortunately, I don't even know how long to tell you to wait it out, because I can remember in 2020 telling my clients, well, maybe we'll see it, not get too competitive and maybe it'll be better by the end of the year. Well, it's been 2 years. It's not quite better yet. So it's, the market's not going to balance overnight, but eventually it will. So if you want to wait it out, you can, but you're going to probably need to wait a few years to buy a house in that case. Your second option would be you can try to compete. If you do decide to go this route, just make sure that you actually have the means to compete. And what's needed in my market may not be what is needed in your market. And that's where it becomes so important to where if you are going to be jumping in and really pursuing buying a house in 2022, that you have a really great real estate agent by your side who can coach you through it and say, okay, here is what I'm seeing. Here's what you're going to need to even be able to get offers in and have a possible chance of having your offer accepted. So remember, I always leave a link in the description box where you can click on it and I can help you get connected with a good agent and can help coach you through that process. So if you need help finding someone, let me know. At the end of the day, when you're buying a house right now, cash is king. And that doesn't necessarily mean you have to have all of the money to make a cash offer. But it is increasingly difficult right now to use any form of down payment assistance or to even get the seller to help you with your closing costs. It's not impossible, but it's difficult. I just had a buyer put in an offer the other day. Unfortunately, they didn't get the house because another buyer went in and said, I don't need any help with my closing costs. In fact, I'm going to pay for my own and I'm going to pay for the seller's closing costs, including realtor fees. So there's just crazy, crazy things going on out there. The third thing that you can do, regardless of whether you decide to wait or if you decide to pursue buying, is work on future-proofing your money. And what I mean by that is US inflation rates are increasing. Costs of everyday things are going up. We're seeing restaurants raise menu prices. We're also seeing home prices skyrocket higher than they have ever been. So if you have been putting the same amount of money into your savings account or even a high yield savings account where maybe you're getting 2 to 3% on that, That's still a smaller percentage of growth than our inflation rate, or than we are seeing home prices go up by. So it is very, very important that if you are working on saving up money, to future-proof that money. And you can do that by investing in certain things that are going to give you a higher return so that your money is not losing value every year. Because if I originally 5 years ago said I wanted to buy a $200,000 house and I was saving up the down payment for that, well, now that house is not $200,000 anymore. That home has gone up in value, and now I would need the down payment to pay for that higher value. That's a great thing to also work on. And if you need more information on that, let me know. I would love to dive into that and make a full video all on different ways that you could potentially future-proof your money to help you with your down payment or future real estate investments. I'm Nicole Narg, Arkansas real estate broker, with videos to help you find your way home, and I will see you in the next one.